16-year-old Amber Wright seemed like an average teenager. She lived in Summerfield, Florida, a place where life moved at a slower pace. She had dreams, aspirations, and a boyfriend, Seth Jackson. Seth, also 16, was a sweet, kind boy who loved Amber deeply. They were young, and their love was intense, full of the passion and drama that often accompanies first love. Their relationship, however, was not all sunshine and roses. Like many teenage romances, theirs was tumultuous, marked by frequent arguments and reconciliations. The intensity of their feelings, unfortunately, would soon morph into something far more sinister. The blissful days of young love eventually faded for Amber and Seth. Their constant bickering escalated, leading to a bitter breakup. The once inseparable couple now nursed a simmering resentment toward each other. Amber, in particular, harbored deep anger and bitterness towards Seth. She complained to friends about him, letting her resentment fester. The pain of their broken relationship, amplified by the gossip and drama of their small town, began to consume her. Tragically, her wounded pride would soon lead to a horrific act of vengeance. Fueled by rage and a desire for revenge, Amber began to hatch a sinister plan. She confided in her friends, sharing her hatred for Seth and her desire to see him suffer. Shockingly, instead of dissuading her, some of her friends, caught up in the twisted logic of teenage angst, decided to help. The group, united by a toxic mix of peer pressure, anger, and poor judgment, began to formulate a plan to lure Seth into a trap. They plotted in secret, their young minds unable to fully grasp the gravity of their actions. What started as teenage drama was quickly spiraling into a horrifying plot with irreversible consequences. On a fateful night in April 2011, Amber put her plan into action. Using text messages, she lured Seth to a mobile home, assuring him that they could rekindle their relationship. Unaware of the danger that awaited him, Seth walked straight into their trap. As Seth entered the home, he was ambushed by Amber's accomplices. He was brutally beaten, tortured, and then shot multiple times. His lifeless body was then dragged to a fire pit, his killers burning his remains in a desperate attempt to cover up their heinous crime. The savagery of the act was shocking, a stark reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human heart, even in those so young. Days later, Seth's disappearance sparked a frantic search. The community, horrified by the thought of a missing teenager, rallied together, desperate to find him. Their worst fears were confirmed when Seth's remains were discovered in a lime-filled pit near the mobile home. The news of Seth's brutal murder sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Summerfield. The brutality of the crime, especially considering the young age of those involved, was unfathomable. The Marion County Sheriff's Office launched a full-scale investigation determined to bring Seth's killers to justice. Unraveling the conspiracy. As the investigation unfolded, the horrifying truth began to emerge. Detectives soon uncovered Amber's plot and the involvement of her friends. Through painstaking detective work, they pieced together the events leading up to Seth's murder, relying on witness statements, forensic evidence, and the digital footprint left behind by the perpetrators. One by one, the individuals involved were apprehended and charged. Amber Wright, the mastermind behind the plot, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Her accomplices, equally culpable in the eyes of the law, faced similar charges. The small town, once a place of peace and tranquility, grappled with the reality that its own children were capable of such horrific acts. Justice served, but at what cost? The trial of Amber Wright and her accomplices was a media sensation. The nation watched in horror as the details of Seth's murder were revealed in court. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing the calculated and brutal nature of the crime. The jury found Amber guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her accomplices also received lengthy prison sentences, their lives forever altered by their involvement in Seth's murder. Justice had been served, but the scars of that horrific crime ran deep, leaving an indelible mark on all involved. Life after the verdict. The impact of Seath's murder extended far beyond the courtroom. His family, devastated by his loss, struggled to cope with their grief and anger. The community, shaken to its core, grappled with the reality of such violence in their midst. The case also sparked a national conversation about juvenile justice, bullying, and the role of social media in teen violence. Seath's murder served as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked anger, peer pressure, and the easy availability of weapons. Reflections on a senseless tragedy. The murder of Seath Jackson was a senseless tragedy that cut short a young life full of promise. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of hatred and violence. While nothing can bring Seath back, his story continues to resonate, urging us to confront the issues of bullying, teen violence, and the importance of fostering empathy and understanding in our communities. Only through education, open dialogue, and a commitment to creating a safer world for our children can we hope to prevent such tragedies from happening again.